Board of Licensed Contractors to order. Roll call beginning on my left.
Ernest Owens, Memphis, Tennessee.
Randy Chase, Nashville.
Reese Smith, Franklin.
Mark Brudd, Knoxville.
Jerry Hayes, Paris.
Bill Mason, Greenbrier.
Cindy DeBust, Knoxville.
Keith Whittington, Johnson City.
Ronnie Tickle, Memphis, Tennessee.
We have a quorum. We need to amend our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into an executive session and request the attendance of the Deputy Commissioner at that executive session, that we follow that with committee meetings for residential and commercial legal reports, and then reconvene in public session at the call of the chair.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call beginning on my left.
Aye.
Reese Smith, aye.
Mark Brudd, aye.
Jerry Hayes, aye.
Bill Mason, aye.
Cindy DeBust, aye.
Keith Whittington, aye.
Ronnie Tickle, aye.
Motion carries. We're going into executive session. I'd like with the exception of the board, for the room to clear, please.
Where's the guy that's going to speak to us?
Well, he should be on the way. Court reporter has to leave.
Court reporter.
That's 'cause
you were fired up to get here. Won't be long. Okay, I got it.
Be sergeant, you and Kathy can be sergeant at arms.
Do you need me to write everything down on that pad while you're gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Todd.
Both of them need to be here at all times during our meetings.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're back in formal session now.
Good morning. I jumped in, shouldn't have, but I did. Thank you. My name is Robin Ryan. I think I've been before you before, and I was going to be before you tomorrow for a formal hearing on and matter. And I have worked with the attorney on the other side, and this particular respondent, whose license expired last fall, has agreed to surrender the license and to pay right now what's pending in court costs, which is $200. I will tell you just a little bit of the facts. I don't want to prejudice you, but I think it's a good recovery. He was a contractor, and they had some money issue problems with one party, and that money has been paid back, almost every penny of it. And he is no longer working, and therefore I'm recommending that you accept his voluntary surrender, which will read voluntarily surrendered as if revoked. And he will then pay the court costs, which is the $200. And if you all agree to that, then I will cancel tomorrow's hearing, and that will go down on the record.
Second. Second.
Second. All those, that need a roll call.
Go ahead.
We have a roll call vote, beginning on my left with Mr. Owens.
Ernest Owens.
Yes.
Reese Smith.
Yes.
Mark Brudd.
Yes.
Bill Mason.
Yes.
Cindy DeBust.
Yes.
Keith Whittington.
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle.
Yes.
And Jerry Hayes.
Yes.
Very well. I will inform the attorney. Therefore, you will not be subject to a hearing with me tomorrow. You'll see me in July, though. So thank you very much.
Excellent, and the more we can do like this,
Well,
the better for maybe all of us, including the state.
I agree, but you can't always settle everything,
understand.
although that's
I
my first
understand.
goal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
committee to go over everything.
Okay,
Roll in and come back to that.
Want to hear from the public.
All us in the receipt.
we're going to recess and do our legal report. Recess to do our legal report next. It should be back.
This shouldn't take long. Cindy?
Yeah.
Pull a chair up.
Sure.
You gonna do residential first?
Let's go ahead and do
ours.
normally do residential first?
It doesn't matter.
Commercial?
It doesn't matter which way we go at it. We just try to
That's
get it
fine. Where do you wanna
accomplished.
go? Mark, pick your spot.
I mean, we haven't seen these before. We haven't heard
Ronnie and I
Yeah,
divided
we did.
them up. We've done the first, we've done. We can just enjoy it.
Yeah, right, because we're playing, hey, hey, we're playing going to Jackson, go to ball game. Come on.
Have you told this gentleman how we've done it?
Put it right here.
We're gonna have to.
We'll break him in, we'll tell him whether it's true or false.
With our recommendations, if they're different than yours.
Gotcha, gotcha.
If they're the same as yours,
We
I
don't-
got you.
We don't need these. If he
Thank you,
wants to
Mr.
come,
Smith.
You want that?
we can just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, we're going.
All right, let's roll.
I had the first.
You had the first 12. Roll.
Okay.
Let's go, baby.
Uh,
Are you ready?
Move over here.
We're
Can I
real
introduce
easy.
somebody to you?
Well, you sure can.
This is Laura Martin. Laura Martin's gonna be the new board
Hi,
contractor.
I'm Ronnie Tickle. How are you?
gonna be what?
She's the new board, she's gonna be the new lawyer for the board.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Laura's been with us for a little over a year. She's, our most senior board attorney. And we have decided.
Oh, had a year. There you go. Yeah.
Boy, that speaks volumes.
Her father actually was an electrician, he still is a licensed electrician. And we decided she would be a perfect.
Oh,
So she's gonna,
That's
going
good.
forward, she's gonna be the attorney.
No, they're not
I'm
page
gonna-
numbers, but it's.
Margaret and I worked on this legal report, and that's what we're gonna do. She's just kinda here. Can interrupt, but wanted to make that introduction.
Through the first 12, I had no issues.
Okay.
Let's move on to Ron.
Okay. Number 13. Recommendation was for 1,000, and I raised it to $1,200.
13,
015. I went to $1,200 instead of $1,000.
civil penalty,
There were six permits for pools.
I don't like
Six
that
times 200 is 12.
okay, I see what you're saying.
Number 14, I raised that from 1,000 to 1,500. Probably should have been more than that because of
What number was that?
14.
14.
I went to 1,500. Number 16, went from 1,000 to 2,000.
Whether that's a good idea or not, it's still legal, and this guy that ought to be.
For 18, I dropped, I'm sorry,
16,
16, we went
2401,
401.
okay,
We went from $1,000 to $2,000.
gotcha.
And then number 18, I went from $2,000 to just 1,000.
So 500 for each.
Yes. And then I was good and then I finished Keith and our stuff, and then, you had,
Well, we've
then
got
you got some
represents.
represents. You wanna go ahead and do your represents?
Now,
Forgot how the
I'm sorry.
Commercial, it's 1 through 3. Where?
I need to
Let's
start
see,
putting page
residential,
numbers on these.
got 1.
Four represents, I guess.
5.
Represents starting,
Residential,
residential.
yeah.
1. Gosh, Keith, you had to do a lot, buddy.
I went through quite a few. I didn't remember how many it was.
12, 13.
I was thinking it was 4, but 4 pages, but that was up on my computer as I looked through them, so. And I was fine with all of them. I thought everything was handled well. The only, well,
Regular.
it's regular. And that's something we need, and it's good that we have a new attorney here this morning.
Okay.
We need to cut this stuff off Monday.
Right.
It makes it hard to look it up on a cell phone.
What he's talking about. What he's talking about is we.
Board has a cutoff day to accept applications.
And the big one?
Okay, I didn't look in the big one.
Yeah, they added a couple.
No, I don't need it. That's why I wanted to go for the next 2 months. It, try to pile yourself and work yourself to worn out fingernails.
Up if it's over 180 days.
Right, and we have to balance that. I mean, there's a balance to it, and it's a. Oh, I tell you, there's a system to it, and we had a lot of these this week because we were doing a lot. I mean, this period because we had a lot. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
In this addendum, the case number 2, $1,000 fine, is this home improvement? No, it's unlicensed.
The money that was supposed to go in the DDE program, which is bad. There's a
All right, I'm okay with it. The third one's the one I'm really having a problem with. This guy's out doing paving in Knox County, and
That's everything that was said.
he's a real
We
estate
can-
board, that
Yes.
that he's been violating the statute.
And we may have. I'll double check,
Okay.
but I'll.
I think he needs to be real estate board, and then
Oh, the home improvement.
brash to
Yeah, but I
me.
think $1,000 is all we can do on home improvement. Is that right?
Well, he's unlicensed, so you can do up to
Oh, okay.
5,
Oh,
is it 5 on every
Oh, okay.
job that he's done.
Well, I'm not gonna go that far with it, but I think we need to go at about 2,000. That's just my personal opinion. And the same thing in number 4. Oh, on the represents.
No, no, on the agenda.
There wasn't a 50% down payment.
It was
not
five-
9 months involved.
It was 5,000, it was a
Ain't no
5,000?
way that's the same project.
It was a $5,000 down
That comes
payment
from
on,
federal,
on
that
what,
didn't come from-
which, $300 and something thousand dollar house.
Something wrong. I've got you right here.
$373,000 house and
It is.
$5,000 down
Federal
payment.
government basically runs it.
In case- It's complaint number.
DBE turned him in. It's such a rigmarole you gotta go through and document all.
There wasn't any 9 months involved in it, and that's why I went ahead and checked off on it.
He wanted to get the money because the money was available through the DBE.
But what happened there was the guy never bought the house.
That was
He bought
the
the
house,
house.
and he
He walked away
But,
from
I
the
mean, all
contract.
that documentation.
Yeah, he might have been awarded the project based on his DBE
The
compensation.
complaint.
They wouldn't have awarded
He
him.
never
They say
owned
you can have good
Never
faith
owned
there.
the
Never
house.
owned
Did
the
he
give
house.
him money?
Awarded if you don't
Did
have
he?
it.
$5,000
Earnest
earnest was
money,
given
but
back.
then-
What he did
But
was
he
a
gave
bait
the
and
earnest money
switch.
back.
He had,
It's a no
he
case.
had
It should
earnest,
be
but then he
thrown out.
come up.
I agree. Is that
You
this
said it
case?
Like he had
That
earned.
is
Yeah.
the case, yes.
right.
And
The
what he did, of
facts,
course,
obviously.
not only fraud.
You know,
That is this case.
Awarding, but he takes money.
But it needs to be closed.
it needs to be
They
thrown
closed,
out.
yeah.
Didn't get
The
counted.
guy gave him
Accounted for them.
a 100-item punch list, and you had to have it
241 item punch
complete. It had to be
list.
completed in 24 hours, and he didn't get it done.
Oh, it doesn't need to be on his record.
He still owns the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to eat the house.
Right.
Well,
He's
he'll
over
sell it. He'll sell it
At some
eventually.
point in time, but
There
you
was
still
no
gotta
money
pay interest.
lost, no damage done.
Not to the complainant, it was to the
Why
poor
he
builder.
filed the complaint, I guess it's the
got you.
following end of a horse is all I can figure.
Well, we also have punch.
Poor builder got messed over.
So the rest of the residential, you're okay. Everybody's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we're good.
Okay. And I've got one on here that,
A month ago, or 2
But maybe
months
it
ago.
at least gets his
I think
attention.
we already
well, I had put on here to present it to the board. I have talked about it, and I know what your recommendation is. I just wanted the whole board to vote on it since,
Okay.
since,
I need to bring it up, or you gonna bring it
I'll
up?
bring it up.
Okay, that's fine.
okay.
That's good, thank you. Good
And then
job.
I'll say that I know that Mr. Whittington reviewed it, he has a recommendation.
Before I lost you a while ago, I was over on the represent.
Yeah, I was too.
I was having trouble making them fit.
Or we're easy. This side is real easy. Our side is easy. Just let you know, we're the nice guys.
I want y'all to know, Margaret did this legal report. She put this together.
Margaret did a fantastic
And that's why
job.
that one was wrong.
Oh, girl.
She did a great job. I just can't thank you enough.
Okay, so we'll go to commercial. Yeah. That's a different committee.
Just remember, the good guys are on this side.
Hello, how are you? I'm good. Can I sit, have a seat?
Yes.
I assume you're ready for me.
We're just about done, and then we'll tell you what we're thinking about.
Okay. Would you mind me introducing Miss Laura Martin? Miss Laura Martin is going to actually our most senior board attorney, and she's been with us for father's actually an electrician, has been a lifelong board licensing contractor. So Laura is going to be going forward, is going to be your attorney.
We want to close and flag.
Last night, and so cash and $2,000 over what we were asking. Dead right, man. I sold that house in 8 hours. Hey, now you sound like my daughter.
Okay. We'll be glad to help you in any way. Thank you.
Number 2, we're okay. Number 1, commercial, we are okay. You're welcome.
Reviewed of that. And I Washington has one, and you'll have one. I'll bring it forward
Okay.
and then recognize you. I'll tell you I'll give you that information here. And just
License is that, they just want to do this at some, one of those weird colleges, you know. One college.
I don't know about that.
There you go in the section.
Online? Prep? Online?
I don't, it's not approved by us, is it?
No, because that's,
They're rented to you first.
I'm gonna defer it, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about it.
No, you can graduate. Does Florida have it?
Do you need this?
Oh, it's no problem. No problem, dear. Okay.
and you actually has a place where you can go online and do a
Like to
practice.
call the meeting back to order. Adopt the amended agenda.
I thought we were gonna have a break.
Oh, I move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have hardships approved by the executive director. We need to ratify, to have a motion to ratify those.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have that. Board meeting transcript, review and approve. Have a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have that. License approval, beginning with the waived.
Move for approval of the waived.
I have one for discussion.
Have a second on the waived.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we move to the interviewed.
Construction company. I would like for them to come up, the lady. Quite a few questions, and I would like for the board to, Hogan.
$16 years ago. 16 years ago. 42 months, 3.5 years. Yes.
I had reservations because, she can explain the only 75% of this particular company. And she's involved in project management since then.
Yes, for the past 7 years.
I'm gonna ask for, I'm gonna recommend a minimum license if it's approved.
What was she asking for?
Well, she didn't really write.
Well, the monetary limit requested was $1 million.
The total BC exam.
As the BCB combined, yes.
Longer on probation?
I have a certificate of employability. I've had my full citizenship rights restored. I've been gainfully employed with the city of Memphis since the time of my release. I have my bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in construction management, and I'm in school right now as well.
What is her financial situation?
Well, she has, $7,000, and I don't think that's gonna merit.
Oh, it's not gonna measure that.
Can you say
that's not much.
$7,000? I'm sorry. What was that? Oh, no. The financial statement,
Oh, she could have 70,000.
absolutely not. Well, it supported the request, the limit request for the license.
Well, I just wanted, you all to know about the, federal indictment that she had, and that's all in the past.
What was the original complaint? What'd you do?
Well, I was 28 years old. I went to the car dealership to purchase a car, and the used salesman, he added on a profile as a co-signer. I called once I found out to have the co-signer removed from the financial agreement, and that's when I found out that it had been done before, and I ended up being a part of a document fraud for which I served 42. It turned out to be almost the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I guess had I never experienced that, I never would have been the person that I am today. But I do have concerns about the
That's for
To
what
qualify you for $1 million.
Experience that you're concerned about?
I say that we're set up as a corporation, I'm sorry, and the experience that sits on the board spans over 100 years. One of the board members is here. He's been licensed for 30 years as a general residential and commercial contractor. I come from a line of contractors. My father's a contractor, my grandfather's a contractor, commercial, residential, and industrial. So although my personal experience is 7 years, the board has enough depth to sustain whatever projects we may take
You have
on.
to be the qualifying agent.
I am. I took the test.
You are the qualifying agent.
Yes.
That's your full-time employees. What is their experience?
Well, full-time employees, what we've used thus far is subcontractors, but I have a large, number of subcontractors, manufacturers, vendors that we use that are, I'm nervous.
What are you doing, and what are you doing now?
Right now, we're doing residential, commercial, and I've done a lot of project management, and that's the most of my experiences in
Doing
project
remodeling? Is that mainly what you're doing?
Yes, blighted properties right now. Is what we're
Blighted
doing.
properties?
Yes.
And where are you from?
I'm from
Okay.
Is she asking for $1 million?
Her financial statement shows it.
board of directors, exactly part of the company, yes.
What is your company's name?
She Builders.
She?
What's the largest project you've been involved in?
Personally,
Mhm.
well, we've done kitchen remodels. I want to say 14,000 that I've personally taken on, because I know that there are restrictions without license.
But you're the qualifying agent, right?
I did.
And it's a corporation.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
100% owner, or are there other owners?
75% owner. The other 25% is divided among 5 other people. Yes. But let me take that back. 2 of those individuals are on the board of directors, yes. One is a electrical engineer, and she's been on the electrical, I want to say 15 or 16 years. The other,
Is this a board member?
yes.
Well, why don't you come tell us who you are and tell us what your experience is?
I'm Darren Apston with DNC Construction. We are residential and commercial contractors. My largest project that I've been involved with was about $3 million. It was an apartment complex in Memphis. By the way, I'm from Memphis. And I will personally be in charge of a lot of the projects that she does. in order to for her to up, but I've been a contractor, actually it's not 30 years, I'm experienced 30 years, but I've been a contractor for about since 98, 19.
You have your own company?
Yes,
And what is your company's name?
DNC Construction,
DNC?
Tennessee Contractors License 41947.
In what apartment complex did you work on?
It was the Mill Creek Apartments
What
in
Haven?
Memphis.
Whitehaven?
Whitehaven, that is correct. We worked with Levine and Poor. They were the general. We subbed a big chunk of that out from them.
Part owner or an employee?
I'm 100% owner.
No, of She Construction.
Oh, I'm part owner and she.
Approve it.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Believe the ayes have this. Thank you very much.
Yes, Cindy and I interviewed this total package construction 59586. That was the suggested license number, but we're going to move for a denial of license. This gentleman is still on parole and will be on parole until 2018. And so we wanted to bring this to the entire board, but we would move that this applicant be denied.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of denying the applicant?
Aye.
Opposed? Randy, do you have any?
Got a limited electrical license. I guess do those go those go at a different time, don't they? But I enter. I mean, I interviewed him, so I was just gonna go ahead and review it. So anyway, it's Robert Gist. He's trying to reinstate his limited electrical license. Lapsed. He claimed he moved and didn't get the memo. During the process, we found out that he had a consent order against him. He paid that. There was a little confusion on that consent order, but he went and paid it, got it squared away, and I'm recommending that we approve his reinstatement. In 14. Claimed he didn't know that it was a 2-year deal. I told him he needed to check on that himself in the future. Next one was Mike's Heating and AC, which was 69648. This is a gentleman, Mike Forrester, who had a felony in Florida, convicted of a felony in Florida in 2003. He didn't serve any time. He was put on probation for 18 months. He's been cleaned. Working for other people, doing odds and ends in the HVAC business. Now he's wanting to do his own thing. He's taken his test, and I recommend that we approve him for a
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have that.
I do. FL Schmid Incorporated, they are a pollution equipment that they install on manufacturers that pollute the air. They're from Pennsylvania. They had submitted a bid to CMEX in Tennessee without a license. Their salesperson apparently didn't realize they needed to be licensed in Tennessee to submit that bid. As soon as they realized that they had violated the law, they withdrew their bid and have applied for a Tennessee license as a industrial, BC-C, and also a CMC. Recommending that we approve his license, since as soon as they found out they did something wrong, they reported it and haven't moved forward until they get a license. One other that is a home improvement contractor that self-reported 2 small projects that were about $4,000 each. After questioning him on those, he says he never signed a contract, never got involved in the project. All he did was consult with the homeowner, had the homeowner hire directly the contractors to do the work and paid the contractors directly, and he was just essentially a consultant. So I'm recommending approval of his home improvement license without a fine.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Leave the ayes have that. I have a couple. I have, on the interviewed, I have a felon. Been operating in Arkansas. He's from West Memphis. Number 82. Motion. Have a second. Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I've got one that's a little bit different. I approved this as a hardship, but I wanted to bring it up for the board because I think he needs to be fined. Hardship, the letter came in from a church in Memphis. Realized he didn't have a commercial license and been operating for 11 years without one. But I checked with Ronnie, and he said that was not the normal course of business in Memphis. Did need one, and anyway, I just really think for 11 years, I think he needs to be fined $2,500, and that's my recommendation on him.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Leave the ayes have that. Bill, do you have one?
I have 3. I want to do the first 2 together on home improvement 8271 BKH floors. He had a bankruptcy in California and had an unresolved complaint at that time that was never resolved. They wound up revoking his license. He moved to Tennessee. He's trying to start over. I went over in great detail what that was been some years ago. So I'm going to recommend that he be approved. On 69709, Mr. Robinson wants a limited license, BAR. He had a felony in 1994. He served 6 days with probation. No problems since then. Seems like a very impressive man, and I recommend him for approval. So I move the approval of those 2.
Motion.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
On the third one, number 69772, Usher and Miller. He had a felony. He served quite some time in prison, served a very long period of probation. While under probation, just 2 years ago, he was arrested again for theft. On the recommendation of his parole officer, he was not, his probation was not revoked, but because it was a theft, and I have a special problem with property crimes when we're giving someone a license to go into people's homes, I asked him to wait and attend the board meeting and make his case to the entire board. He is not here. I asked the executive director to look for him a few minutes ago. He's not here. And since he didn't decide to stay, then I move that this application be denied.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Chairman, I've got a stack. The first one is R&L Restoration, Home Improvement License Number 3366. They let their license expire in 2013. Their son-in-law had obtained a contractor's license, and they were subcontracting the work to him and thought that they didn't need their license to be able to do that since he was doing the contracting work. And for some reason, they're trying to transfer their business over to their daughter and their son-in-law now. And it came clear to them through their franchise that they still needed that license for the company to be able to transfer it. So now they've come back for reinstatement. They've done a couple of jobs under the company name. So I'm proposing that we go ahead and reinstate their license, but issue a $1,000 civil penalty for contracting in a home improvement county without a license. And that's license number 3366. So I'll make a motion that we issue that $1,000 civil penalty and reinstate the license.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next one is a CE. It's application number or license number 67598. It was reviewed by me for felony. The guy passed my question test, and I think he will make a good asset to the contracting community. He has all of his charges expunged, and it's a $100,000 license, and I really believe he will make a good one. So I make a motion that we approve license number 67598.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next one is home improvement, number, I guess it's 8231, Alpha Construction Services. They actually had been performing work before they ever got their license in Home Improvement County. I make a motion that we issue a $1,000 civil penalty for contracting in a home improvement county without a license, and following payment of that, issue the license.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The last one I've got, the guy's made 3 applications, and his excuse that he never did finish the application process was he kept moving around. And so this time, in his application, the 3rd time around, he actually listed 4 jobs, one in Davidson, or well, 3 jobs, one in Davidson, one in Knox, and one in Hamilton County. He's a basement drying contractor, and those are all home improvement counties, and he's not licensed. So I'm going to make a motion that we give him a $1,000 civil penalty and issue his license upon satisfaction of that civil penalty, and that we can find him at the correct postal address when time comes. But that's my motion.
Second.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one, Covenant Contracting, HI 4037. It's home improvement. This gentleman did 2 jobs in Shelby County that was unlicensed. He had a license, he let it expire. He also needed a home improvement bond. It had been canceled, but he brought a new bond, a copy for us to see, copy of his license, and I make a recommendation that we approve him, but like to fine him $250.
Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Motion.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? LLEs?
Okay. Last hold due to incomplete paperwork. Asking for a reinstatement. License expired in 2010.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
License to give the cram schools for the exam class. They are asking to also be able to give the BCA or the limited class. And we just got the information, and I want to just all a chance, and I gave the main file to keep. You can go online, and it gives you a password, and he can go in there and research it. They are accredited by the Tennessee Higher Education Commission.
You know if they're in any, approved in any other states, like Florida?
I don't know, but I can look.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I am Mark Green. I'm Chief Counsel for the Division of Regulatory Boards. And with me is Ms. Laura Martin. Ms. Martin will be the new attorney, Assistant General Counsel for the Board of Licensing Contractors, as well as Ms. Margaret Williams, who is the paralegal and will remain as the paralegal for the Board of Licensing Contractors. The legal report before you, it's been a while since I've done a legal report before a board, so if I mess up, please forgive me. Or if I get out of order, please forgive me. I think these have been presented to the subcommittees, and the recommended changes of the residential subcommittee on the legal report before you all have been approved by the subcommittee until number 13 on your legal report. Complaint sent from fire prevention alleges unlicensed activity. Respondent's license expired July the 31st, 2015 and was not renewed until January 5th, 2016. Upon notification from fire prevention of the license expiration, respondent immediately renewed the license.
What's the recommendation?
Okay, all right, thank you. And again, for the, this is case 2015-022-6491. The new recommendation from the subcommittee is to authorize a formal hearing and send a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,200 for unlicensed activity pursuant to TCA Section 62-6-103A1.
Changed to 1,200, I believe.
I thought that's what I said. If I didn't, let me
Oh, I thought
restate.
you said 1,000.
It's changed from
Excuse me.
1,000 to 1,200.
Okay. Excuse me.
Number 14 has a recommended change from the subcommittee. The recommendation is authorize formal hearing and send a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,500 for unlicensed activity pursuant to 62-6-103A1 and 62-6-120A1. Number 16, 2015-022-401. New recommendation is authorize formal and send a consent order with civil penalty in the amount of $2,000 for non-cooperation in the investigation of an open complaint and failure to respond to customer inquiries on dissatisfaction of work pursuant to Rule 0680-10-.27. Or in the alternative, authorize a, scratch the alternative, licensed, litigation monitoring consent order. The recommendation is for the above, $2,000 civil penalty. Number 18, new recommendation is authorize formal and send a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,000, $500 for each complaint for abandonment or willful failure to perform pursuant to 62-6-510, paragraph 1. And that's the residential for the legal report. We'll go to the commercial section. The commercial section, subcommittee recommendations. There's no change until we get to number 8, which is 2015-022-4551. Recommendation is the new recommendation is to close and flag. And then number 9, 2016-00941. The new recommendation is for the consent order is for $5,000 for dishonest dealing. The represent residential. We have on number 2, this is a matter that we requested a review of out of subcommittee, and Mr. Whittington reviewed this file. Whittington was there. I think the new recommendation was to withdraw the proposed $1,000 consent order based on your review and close the case. Do you have anything to, was there anything other
That's
than?
my recommendation.
Okay. Number 5, on the I'm sorry, this is actually number 5 is actually a commercial matter. I'm gonna read the facts on this one. This is one that Mr. Brudd reviewed out of subcommittee and out of the January meeting. I'm gonna read the facts on this, Mr. Chairman, just to refresh his memory, and then I'll read his recommendation as he and I discussed it. Complaint alleged fraud, posing as a licensee, failure to pull permits, and property damage. This was a commercial construction. Respondent was an employee of an apartment complex as their maintenance man who was fired and evicted once the property manager discovered he was unlicensed. Is this the facts? That's not the facts on this case. This has been misnumbered. I'm gonna ask Margaret to go get those facts. I apologize. Those facts are not with this case, and we need to get that straight so we can present that back before the board.
Remove that one from the legal report for now?
Yes, this should be removed. We should figure out what. I think the number's correct, but the facts are not correct. So we need to make a correction on this. I apologize. We'll come back. Number 10, this is dealing, there's two cases on there, but this is dealing only with the second case, 2014-03-2162. This matter, dealing with that respondent, there is no evidence of any wrongdoing of that respondent, number 2. So the recommendation is to close. He was the previous homeowner, and a complaint got open. He's not a contractor. He was not. I mean, basically, he was the a party to it prior to the complainant filing a complaint. So it should be closed. The represents for commercial on number 1, 2013-02-5571. The recommendation on that was to close, or in the alternative, a letter of warning, and the subcommittee voted for a letter of warning. So I believe that concludes all of the, except for that one matter that I have asked Margaret to, so that we can correct, because those facts are not accurate on that represent. I do have one matter that is not, Mr. Chairman, on the before I go to that, let me go to the addendum to the legal report. Does everybody have the addendum? First, on the residential matter, was 2016-002-0371. This matter was, we have discovered that the respondent, there was actually never a sale of the property. This matter did not go to closing. The complainant opened a complaint after the closing, and the earnest money of $5,000 was returned. There was never a transfer. The respondent still owns the property, and so it was the subcommittee's recommendation that it be administratively closed and dismissed. On number 3, 2016-002-841. The new recommendation is to authorize a formal and send a consent order in the amount of $2,000 for unlicensed activity, and report this matter to the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, as the respondent is also a licensed real estate licensee. Number 4, 2016-0511. The new recommendation is to authorize formal and send a consent order in the amount of $2,000 for unlicensed activity. I did say 2,000, did I not? Okay. Just make sure. Okay, and that the other recommendations on the addendum were to keep as recommended by legal. There was one other matter, and I'm going to bring it back up to you. You can do with this information as the board so chooses. This is not on the legal report, but it has recently, as in like this morning, the Attorney General's office contacted me and asked me if I would bring this matter before the board. And this case that it's dealing with has been before you before. You have heard it as recently, I believe, as either November or last January. It's 2010 001651. This is a matter that was a 2010 case, and the civil penalty that the board authorized and that a consent order did get signed was for $4,000. Later, the gentleman, after he signed the consent order and he was contacted by the collections unit at the state of Tennessee, tried to challenge it. We've actually brought this back before you. You upheld the decision. It has gone back to the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office, every time they get an offer, sends it to me, and even though I believe I can speak for you on this, I cannot speak for you on this. I have an obligation to tell you what that offer is. And the offer is the respondent has asked if he could pay $2,000 in cash and have the whole $4,000, that settled the whole matter. So I told the Attorney General's office that I would bring that before you and allow you to do with that information what you would.
Well, first, may I make a motion to approve the previous legal report?
Aye.
Now we can deal with this.
Okay.
I make a motion that we reject said proposal. It's 4 times it's been brought before the board.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Sorry to bring that back to you, but I was asked, and I told him that I would take it back to you. Do we have that?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have the correct information on that one that I asked Ms. Williams to get. Would it be appropriate if we could readdress that so we could, and then you can vote on that individually? On this matter, it should be complaint number 2015-0471 and 2. This complaint was opened regarding news of unlicensed activity. I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna have to take a look at this because this information is not, if we could go on, I'm gonna have to get this, information straight, and I apologize for not having it. I'm gonna have to get the file, and I know that, Mr. Brudd reviewed the matter, and I know he has a recommendation, but the facts I have are not matching up, and if I could get that clarified, and get the file and talk to Mr.
Why
Brudd,
would we
who
not
reviewed it.
accept his recommendation?
Well, Mr. Brudd, do you have any, you reviewed the matter, and I want to,
A long time ago, apparently, because I don't know what case you're even talking about.
okay, yeah, that's what I was worried about, and that's why I needed to read the facts, because I know he reviewed it, but these facts are not the ones that I remember, so I apologize for the inconvenience. We're gonna get do you have a physical file? Do I have it?
I think it's in your office.
Okay, this chair is gonna fall on me, and that one. So if we could come back to that, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Mark, what's the wheel that goes to the chair?
Can we do it in May?
We could, it's kind of time sensitive, but if we could make that decision, if you would, if we don't get the information prior to,
Email it tomorrow.
hopefully I'll have it here in just a minute, and we'll be able to get it before you. I won't keep
Did
you,
it to me twice.
I won't ask you to stay longer for it.
Mr. Stansel here to give us an update.
Hello, my name is David Stansel. I'm with Stansel Electric Company here in Nashville, Tennessee. But in my role here today is really not about that. I wanted to first express my strong appreciation for the board's assistance with getting Go Build Tennessee going, and for making it possible, really. So I'm a member of both the Tennessee Road Builders Association. Kent Starwalt asked me to be here today, so that's why I'm here, as far as I know. AGC and ABC, but also involved in Go Build is the Home Builders Association of Tennessee. So appreciate all of them working to make this possible. So I want to give you an update on what's going on, and I don't want to bore you about it, but I do know a lot of the details. I'm representing the all-volunteer board and executive committee of Go Build Tennessee. I'm the president of Go Build Tennessee. So I know all the details, or what details there are, and there are many, but I really just want to let you know what's going on at a high level and answer any questions you have. We did get funding through the board late last year, and both before and since then have spent most of our time on organizational matters, getting our corporation set up, applying for a determination letter from the IRS for a 501c3, which is non-trivial if you've ever done that, things like that. And our primary method of doing what we're going to try to do, which is promote careers in construction, to promote construction as a viable career. We all know that for every 5 tradesmen leaving our industry, there's only 1 coming in, and we know how construction is growing, and there's also a high number of millennials that are graduating from college with no job. So what can we do about this? So that's what Go Build is designed to address. It's essentially a PR campaign for the construction industry. And the way that Go Build Tennessee is operating is we're spending all the money directly on those things. So what we did was work with the Go Build group that initially did the work in Alabama and has since done work also in Georgia, and getting a licensing agreement in place to be able to leverage all of the materials and the millions of dollars of development they've done. That agreement finally is in place, allows us to license those material It also provides very low-cost creative talent to modify those to be suitable for the state of Tennessee. They've essentially contracted a full-time person that was at a PR firm as part of their organization, so we're able to leverage that resource at very low cost. All other expenses, buying media, those types of things are things that we will pay directly. So far, we haven't spent any money on anything significant, only on attorney's fees to get the organization set up and so forth. However, a lot of work has been done because the Go Build people were totally on board with this, and while we were working on getting that contract in place, they wanted to stay on schedule. So with no expenditure of our funds, they've essentially done the work to make the Tennessee program ready to launch. And we had been ready to sign the contract for some time, and they had issues on their side that delayed that for reasons that are that I can't actually fully understand or explain. But they finally did send me a signed copy of the contract this morning, so I know they're committed. Once that is signed, that's when our licensing fee is due. So that is due now, and so we will start spending money. But up to now, we really haven't spent any money. That said, we're ready to go, ready to launch, and we anticipate a launch of the program in about 4 weeks. So I'm very excited about that. The TV ads, the copy, and other items are look very nice and ready to go, and I'm excited. That's kind of the high level. Besides that, I will answer any questions you may have. I did listen to some of your previous meetings, and it seemed like there was some misunderstanding or confusion about how the Go Build program operates. So I do want to answer that because there was discussion of grants and things like that, and that's really not part of the program at all. But if there's any clarification I can do about how the program works or what it's for or what things you all would like to see, I would like to hear those questions and be able to respond.
Grants, we did discuss grants, and the last gentleman was here 2 months ago, said that there was a possibility to get grants out of the Go Bill from the home builders, and if courses were given, for instance, Memphis has a home builder association, and we've asked for a $30,000 grant for teaching. And we were told with the gentleman 2 months ago that it was possible. So now you're saying it's not?
I think you're talking about Bob Pitts from ABC. Is he the last that was in January? Is that who last spoke to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I apologize I couldn't hear all of his comments because the posted recording of your meeting kind of cuts off there at the end. But there's really no provision in the law or in the bylaws of the nonprofit. It's essentially we're setting up the Go Build is a 501c3 nonprofit. So, and its stated purpose is, let me read right here, to promote and foster the development of a comprehensive statewide program designed to attract and increase career opportunities for secondary and post-secondary students in the construction industry. That's the purpose. Could some type of grant be a part of that in the future? I guess I wouldn't rule that out completely, but I'd say that's not our purpose. That's not what we're doing right now. So the purpose of the program, and I'll read from that too, is to promote the Go Build program. And the Go Build program is a comprehensive public relations program. So it's a PR campaign. I mean, that's what it is. It's a PR campaign aimed at raising the awareness of the career opportunities available within the construction industries, including many training options for the necessary skills, along with desirability and respect of working in the trade. So it's really a PR campaign. It's designed to change people's opinions about the suitability and desirability of our industry. I think it's a good option. It's not a fallback option. And to let people know what training options are available. Most trades have free training available, but there's a lot of programs available, so we will promote those. Any programs that are available will be listed on the Go Build website, and benefit from essentially free advertising. But grants to actual training programs is not part of what Go Build was created for.
Bylaws? Have you provided those to this board?
Yes, but if not, I can certainly make them available.
Yes, Mr. Mason, I want to talk to that. That's part of the reason, and one of the other reasons is we want to have a discussion on the record, obviously, with legal's recommendation that the board, prior to we getting together and coming up with kind of a joint rule between the entities, we want to make a recommendation as to what the board wants. What is it you would find acceptable, so that we can take that and then go to the Go Build people and through the rulemaking hearing process, as it normally would, go through and get comments and feedback and things of that nature. So we have not drafted any, legal has not drafted any rules since the January meeting. Correct.
Have those rules, and we were supposed to do it in consultation with Go Build, which of course we would want to do anyway. So do you think?
Well, something for the board to look at, yes.
Can we have that 2 weeks before the meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
I think this would be an opportune time, since the deputy commissioner is here, to bring up an issue that's been previously discussed. I have other things to ask later, and that is why the funding for Go Build program was taken out of our general operating budget rather than out of the reserve, and we wanted to just have that in the record today for a public mention, and about what we need to do about addressing that, what we consider to be a problem.
Great. Well, it's good to see you this morning. It's the second time good to see you, and I regretted to say earlier I've been on vacation in California. This is the first place I've spent, and I've gotten to spend 2 times with you all. So I don't know if you can tell if I'm tan or not, but I don't think so. But no, in terms of talking about the subject and kind of what essentially the way that FNA has interpreted the statute, and there were conversations that occurred. This was it was in the fall, correct? We had a meeting with FNA early in the fall when the process of the funding, when I guess this was right after budget close. I'm sorry. Do you want to come up here? I may have to defer. Bill didn't know he was going to come down. This is Bill Huddleston. He's my account manager. Just want to have he helps me with finances, so I'd ask that I just have him sit with me if that's okay with you all. And sure. He didn't know that I was going to invite him down here, so
have a tie.
Yeah. But we right around fiscal close, when the time that we were doing fiscal close, and it was September-ish. We met with FNA, with Carolyn, and we discussed the allocation because there was some questions about the allocation from FNA's perspective, and we discussed the process, and they told us in that meeting that they had interpreted the statute to mean that they would be pulling it from this year's operating expenses. So we were alerted to that. Now the department did say that that was not the intent. Both of the board, we didn't believe that was the intent of the board, the department, nor of the legislature. That was our assessment. However, it was their determination that they would take it out of the current year operating budgets, and I believe their plan is to settle that on the back end. So it will essentially result in hitting the reserve. That's, I think, where it'll end up. And I have, as I haven't had time to get any representative FNA down here to the meeting yet, but I would say that was their interpretation, was that's how the money would be withdrawn. I think it'll end up balancing out to where it will essentially reflect after this is all completed, it'll reflect that, but in the current in the current year, it's going to come out of your operating expenses. And that's not a very, that's my best effort of describing kind of how they come to that.
It's our understanding, I think, when that this is only good for 1 year, and then we review it again. Is that correct? 3.
For the next couple of years, I believe. We have to look at the net revenue for that year after expenses, and 50% of that will go to Go Build, transferred to Go Build.
So it's gonna, for the next 3 years, it's coming out of our operating budget the way it's now set up.
Right. Off the top of my head, I think it's through 2018. It's 17 or 18.
I will.
I think the statute.
They're looking at this from a statutory. I mean, that's how they are allocating the money to Go Build based on their interpretation of the statute, and so we obviously have had these conversations, and I have expressed my concerns, and so and I'll be glad to take it again on your all's behalf. This was, but
Attorney General question? Could we submit that?
When I spoke with the gentleman from Finance Administration, I can't remember his name again.
They made that very clear in that meeting. I thought to us that was the direction they have went, and it is the direction that they've went. So what I'd be glad to do, and we've obviously provide financials to our directors monthly. So Carolyn has seen this over the last number of months in terms of how it's impacting the budget. But one thing I will say that I'll be glad on your behalf to go back. I mean, we did, but I wanted to confirm with Bill this morning because he was in those meetings with us, and I wanted to confirm. But we did say to them we didn't think this was the best way of doing it. But I'll be glad. I think maybe the first step, instead of asking for an attorney general, I'll be glad to go back and say we took it to the board. They've expressed the same concerns that we expressed, that the director expressed, and
I don't think it was ever the intent of the board to put the operating budget in any type of freeze situation to where we can't operate and fund Go Build. It was never our intention. The whole conversation revolved around reserves. It didn't revolve around current budget. And I'm going on record and saying that. So it's in the record. So you can take that to them, because I think the board will back me on that. It was never intended to come out of current operating funds.
I think F&A needs to understand that they have crippled the ability of this board to function by reducing our operating budget to $236,000 when it was way over money in the reserve. It was the intention of this board to come out of the reserve, that an arbitrary decision by F&A to take it out of our operating budget instead of out of the reserve for whatever smoke and mirrors budget balancing they may needed to do has put us at a disadvantage. And that I think, as far as I'm concerned, I can only ever speak for myself, but I hope others will concur, that our goal and intention and hope is that the money will be restored from out of the reserve back to the operating budget where it belongs, and that the repayment is made to us in the operating budget from out of the reserve. It puts our executive director, our staff, and this whole board at a disadvantage to have our operating funding reduced to such a low level.
I think I've heard y'all pretty clearly on that matter, so I'll be glad. And like I said, we made a pretty hard push on your behalf, but since y'all have had a formal discussion, I'll be glad, and I'll report back to you at the next meeting to tell you kind of where they've landed on that.
And we certainly will have a draft of rules
Ms. Martin and I will work on.
I asked, or maybe I didn't, that every member of this board be emailed a copy of the statute. It's
And I might also send you an FAQ document that is just a little bit easier to read than the statute. Of course, the statute is the law, but the FAQ kind of answers.
And so would Go Bill consider funding some public service announcements in regard to this board, to the contractor's license law?
Certainly makes sense to me that we should partner. I think that what you guys are about is very important to the contracting community. Talked about before is having names and logos. Part of it, the essence of the advertising that we've developed is it is really to attract
Understand.
thing. It's not people that would normally be your direct customers, at least not at first.
Let me read from the statute. $1,750,000 of the State Board for Licensing Contractors reserve balance resulting from a one-time transfer of funds from the balance to the corporation. The state of Tennessee is in violation of the statute. I don't know what we can do except to demand that they comply with the law. I move that we ask the Attorney General to make a ruling on the transfer of these funds.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Those
Aye.
opposed? Leave the ayes.
Direct the executive director to prepare a letter to that effect with the help of counsel.
You of what Bill what Bill read.
Oh, my response to that is I think I'm gonna be able to communicate your voice on that, and they've reviewed the statute. I'm very clear. I mean, I've sat with them. They've reviewed it.
Then they willfully violated it.
I think they're.
Is there an attorney in this room? There's attorneys in this room. Is there an attorney in this room that would interpret that differently than what I've just done it?
One of the things I think would be helpful, it's hard pressed for me to articulate their kind of how they're doing the accounting mechanism. I think that would be as they get through this process, I'd much prefer them to speak on it. But like I said, I'll reach out to them, and you're all obviously welcome to take the action you did. So.
Invite someone from FNA to attend the next meeting to explain themselves?
Yeah, I plan to talk with them and invite them to be here. Absolutely.
Anybody have any more questions? Mr. Stansel?
I don't think we meet in Nashville in May, if that's.
I'm happy to come any other time you want to give you an update further. I'm sure it'll be a lot more interesting to talk about once we launch. Thank you.
Once we decide which checkbook to use.
Well, we got your money. I'm sorry about that.
I do have one question, just now remember. Are those ads gonna be running statewide?
Absolutely.
That's,
Yeah, absolutely.
sometimes
they will
East
be.
Tennessee gets forgotten. And I
No,
just wanna
sir. I
make
can
sure that
guarantee you we
that's
have
gonna
a
happen.
good representation from all across
West
the
Tennessee
state.
sure does get forgotten, but Middle Tennessee rolls pretty good.
I can assure you that it's going to be full statewide coverage. And we also have a grassroots program that will, our intention at launch is not just a bunch of TV ads, but also news stories, people actually on the ground in each area of the state to make it relevant locally, because it is relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We got the information that I was looking for, and again, I apologize for these facts not being correct, but Mr. Brudd, are you familiar with?
I am, yeah.
Okay, and this was 2015 05 005-471 and 2, and the complaints, I believe, were at first unlicensed, and then a consent order was. The gentleman was licensed, but there was a consent order regarding pulling a permit over the limit. This matter was submitted to Mr. Brudd, who did review it. The original recommendation was authorize formal and send a consent order with civil penalty in the amount of $2,000 for, I'm sorry, that, was it 2,000 or revocation? It was 2,000. Okay. This matter was at first presented for consent order for voluntary revocation, and then it was modified to $2,000, and then we asked Mr. Brudd to review it, who I believe has a recommendation on that.
My recommendation was to dismiss this issue. The basis for the complaint is a newspaper article that was released by Blunt Partnership Media Room that says this project is over $3 million, which is over this contractor's license limit. But he did produce evidence of the contracts that he had, and they were under his license limit, which is slightly over $1 million. So I didn't see any violation that was committed.
So the new recommendation would be to dismiss the matter.
Okay, need a motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
That concludes the legal report. Thank you for tolerating my rustiness in this, and I guarantee you that Ms. Martin will do a much more polished job than I just did. What'd he say?
Company to bids.
The check's in the mail, Carolyn.
It's in the mail, yeah. According to my figures, reserves will have 2 billion. Apparently, I'm looking at them wrong. Now, you can see our expenditures are growing.
Why does death benefits come out of the boards?
They also charge us for a couple of inspectors.
I'll come back. And I'll be glad to answer these questions. And I just wanted to first ask, was this the first time you all had seen the Go Build impact to your all's finances? Was today? I want it to be clear, this is not the first time it's been provided to your staff. That information.
Deficit, it was in the budget update, but
Oh, there's a clerical error.
Well, we have asked all the staff to meet with our fiscal Bill Huddleston, our account manager, monthly to go over those financials, and those have been, he has provided theirs to her, and I'm not sure why you hadn't. I wanted it to be clear that we had tried through the process that all our programs would get the financials. That's the process we would use. So I just want to make sure it's clear that we did try to get that information. I wanted you all to have that information. I would have thought you would have at this point. So in terms of investigators, you all, the way that that's charged is any program who uses the investigative services are billed a portion. We spread the cost of the staff through all the programs. So it's intended to be a cost-saving measure where the investigators are used by many of our programs. And so you are billed for a percentage of the time to which they do investigations. I know you will have use some other types of specific contract inspectors when it comes to some of the real technical pieces, but in terms of our investigators, that's a cost that we bill out per hour based on the pool. Where a fair number of our programs use that, so that's how that's allocated out.
On the terms of death benefits, though, are we self-insured?
Death.
You pay some money out if somebody died, that's what.
we'd pay out the sick leave.
Oh, well, so in terms of when benefits are paid, if you have a staff member and they retire, or the benefits, or they're through a buyout process or whatever, if there's a portion of that when they retire, you would be responsible for those elements of the benefits. In terms of someone, if you have a position that if someone took like for instance took the voluntary buyout, you would have part of the response would be to pay for a percentage of their, as you don't. We leave room to say where you wouldn't fill the position. You're not going to fill the position, but you would be required to pay out the benefits.
So when they created the voluntary buyout program, they didn't create funding for it. They just decided they were going to take it out of each department as it come out. There wasn't a dollar amount set aside by the legislature to create that buyout.
We function in somewhat of a unique world because you all are funded self-sufficiently, and that's how you're funded. So in terms of how it would have been budgeted, it would come out of your self-sufficiency. And in terms of other areas, I can't speak to what they did in areas that aren't related to ours, but other agencies would have had to pay for the same. If my understanding is if you were at the Department of Labor and you had a buyout, the Department of Labor would have been responsible. But what they did was build in a period where you could not fill positions to recover that cost. So we haven't. That's one of the ways that it's done. But every that's how it would have been done in any agency.
Whatever department that is short-staffed for a while, correct?
Well, I think you from a
practical standpoint.
I think it depends. I think it depends on whether or not positions are needed or not. That's how I would answer that. It could.
Did you say this is unused vacation, or did you say that it was a death benefit?
When specifically in relation to the death benefit, I can't speak to all the benefits. I just know whatever benefits were entitled to a state employee. And what I'm most familiar with are vacation, those kind of pieces that are typically paid out. In terms of all the specific benefits that were paid out, I couldn't speak to that.
We have one bill that to require a new licensing program, the HVAC. It's similar to the last time where it prohibits local governments from
What's the date?
May 25th. Wednesday. Oh, I'm sorry, I do have one.
Currently Tuesday and Wednesday, right?
Yes.
That's what we-
Back to the Tuesday though. It's supposed to be Wednesday, the 20th.
May? No, May's the
25th.
25th. Is Wednesday.
Wednesday, May 25th.
Okay. So,
Is that when you want it?
Just for one day.
one day. Had a email from the Department of Military project that's 100% federal, on federal land. They have a sole source contract, and they for them to,
Carolyn and Laura and I talked about this fairly extensively. Legally, I could make an argument on both sides, but I mean, I think the intent of the statute is to federally funded projects that are done on government property do not require a state of Tennessee license. However, in this matter, the money originally is going to be state money, but it's going to be reimbursed by the federal government, meaning the state's going to issue the initial purchase orders of $100,000, is that what it was, to fix fencing on an Air Force base. The state's going to issue that, then get the money back from the federal government. A strict constructionist would say that's a state-issued purchase order, therefore the person has to be contracted. I think the intent is for federally funded matters that you don't. So I think the answer that we gave this individual was, look, depends on how the board interprets it, but this is how I read it. They could read it the strict way. So I don't know if the board wants to weigh in on that or what.
and it's a target range.
On federally owned property, right?
Correct.
So there would not be any building permit required or any inspections required.
Correct. I think it falls within the exception. However, I told the person the board may not agree with me.
Those federal projects, they'll let people come in here and work, and they're not licensed away from us, and I'm really against this. In Millington, we're a Navy base, and they do that.
Yeah.
And it cuts out the people in our area from being able to go, because they just.
Right. I mean, there's a reason why they ask. I mean, you could argue it on both sides. I mean, I'm not saying that the board couldn't take the position of, hey, the state's paying it out. I don't care what they're getting reimbursed. They got to be licensed. You know, I don't.
A lot of their money is reimbursed, but now the commissioner's requiring TDOT.
Sure.
They don't prevent a licensed contractor from doing.
Requiring a license, and military's not.
I mean, there's a possibility.
I know that there's, if somebody wanted to push that in a legal way, that
Bring it for us and make us decide.
well, that's what they're doing now.
Right, and we told them they could make application before the board. I mean, I think we just wanted to apprise.
I think TDOT, they'll allow you to bid it without a license.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Well, what does military want us to do?
They don't want you to come after them if they give it to this contractor.
Right. The Tennessee Department of the Military says, we don't want to mess up. You know. Probably. Yeah. We want our money. We want to hire who we want to hire, but we don't want to get in trouble with you.
But it's the U.S. Department of Defense that's making the hire. They've chosen the company, not military, right?
No, I think the Department of the Military, the only federal, the federal piece of it is they're paying the bills.
Military wants to sole source it.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. But it's federally funded.
So the federal government's letting military pick the contract.
They bid it?
Haven't bid it yet.
They haven't bid it yet.
It will be publicly bid, okay.
But if it's going to be publicly bid, then it's going to be a competitive bid?
Sorry.
But it's not going to be a competitive bid then?
Did you say it was a sole source contract?
Right, I think it's, I don't know the answer to that, Mr. Mason. Statute's pretty. That,
That's the deal. It doesn't, and that's the thing, that's what's not right. But
state's initially paying the fund or issuing the purchase order. Isn't that right?
Public's not gonna be affected by it. It's the federal.
yeah, they got the call.
They'd make the state toe the line, wouldn't they?
We don't like it, but the board believes that they're exempt.
Yeah, that right, he's talking.
We do have another contractor that.
Yeah, they can't be the job.
Is that everything? Set in Jackson? Can I have a motion?
Motion.
For adjournment.
This
Second.
is Memphis.
Adjourn.
Did CBS. Flying from Knoxville, but
Hey,
Memphis
Randy,
to Jackson,
give me-
Tennessee.
talk about what we're
There's
gonna
a
do on
regional
that.
airport in Jackson.